Welcome everyone to People on Dating. I'm your host, Will Morales. And for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, this is a topic-based conversation about the ups and downs of dating, whether you're 18 or 80, you have a story to tell. But the gist of this podcast is just a conversation, no judgment. Today's guest is Linda Bjork. She's a personal development expert, advocate for hope and healing, best-selling author, podcast host, founder of Hope for Healing, a nonprofit, creator of Lift, the love and forgiveness freedom technique. Linda, thank you so much for being on People on Dating. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic, Will. Thank you so much for having me here.
Well, it's my pleasure. So, Linda, tell me a little bit about your story. How did you become a personal development expert? You're an advocate for hope and healing. What was Linda's journey to get here today?
Oh, excellent question. Because don't we all have a journey to get where we are? Well, my journey begins where a lot of people's journey is when they have a passion about something, and that's because we did it wrong. And so for me, I grew up feeling like I am nobody, I am nothing, I don't matter, I'm invisible, all of these kinds of things. Did my best to just keep going and moving forward. And then there came a time in my life where I was just overwhelmed with horrible experiences that took place in my life. I became overwhelmed. I struggled with depression. I struggled with social anxiety. And then I thought, wow, this is my life and it stinks. And I would just as leave not be here. And then I was so fortunate to receive an invitation to heal. And I didn't think it was possible, but lo and behold, it was. And so since I have been able to experience what it's like to feel like I don't matter, I'm not good enough. And since I know what it feels like to be discouraged and hopeless and depressed and anxious, and to be able to be on the other side where I am truly, genuinely happy, where I have confidence and where I know that I have value to add to the world. It is so beautiful. And to me, when I was in that dark place, it felt like I was in a deep, dark hole with no windows and no doors, and I was stuck. And it felt as if the person who helped me, who was my sister, put a ladder down in that hole,
Mhm.
a way out. And because I was able to climb out, I just want to offer ladders to anyone and everyone who feels like they're stuck in a dark place. So that is why I do what I do. That's why I've written my books. That's why I started my nonprofit. That's why I do a podcast, because I want to help people be happy and become their best selves.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I think too, Linda, and because I went through that where, for a long time, I remember when I was in my 30s, I went through a period I won't say despair, but a little depressed because I wasn't getting the results I wanted at work and in my personal life. I couldn't meet any woman that I really cared about compared to when I was in my late 20s, early 30s. But then in my mid 30s, it seems like I was in a massive slump. And I'm not going to lie, I pretty much was depressed. I remember for Christmas and I think it was Thanksgiving and New Year's, right? Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's, I think I was like 35, 36 years old. So, that was a long time ago. I just stood home. I didn't want to go out. And then one day, I guess I started listening to personal development stories and all that. But then I just snapped out of it. I just said, what the hell am I sad about? I got a lot to live for. But it took a long time. And when you talk about the journey to healing, and again, it begins with hope. That's when I realized I'm like, you know what? I hate even to say this phrase, Linda, that I know there's other people that have it worse than I do. And I would see it in the streets. I would see homeless people and all that. So then I decided I had to snap out of it. So when you went through your journey, and we'll talk about also dating and all that, because I want to talk more about that too. When you went through your journey, there was that aha moment that you felt that you said you could get out of this and you have a lot to offer? Can you talk a little bit more about that aha journey that you went through?
Oh, absolutely. So I was in just a place of blah for a long time, and I thought I was stuck. I thought there was no way out. And my sister, who was training to become a life coach, she invited me to come
Mm.
to a women's retreat. And she said, "Oh, I'm going to help people be happy and live fulfilled. And we're going to spend 3 days and 3 nights in this condo that I rented up in the mountains. And do you want to come?" And I thought, heck no. No. No, 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 no. I
Wow.
I I thought, first of all, I was struggling with social anxiety. It's like
Yeah.
I cannot handle being around other people day and night for 3 days.
Mm,
And second of all, I'm stuck in a dark hole with no windows and no doors. There is no hope for me. There is no way out. There's nothing that you're going to say that's going to make any difference. And so that was what I thought. And I tried to put it out of my mind. And well, I couldn't. It kept coming back.
right.
And so I thought, maybe this is something that I need to do. And so I gathered all my courage together and I went. And I'm so glad that I did, because even though the healing, as you mentioned, was not instantaneous, it was enough of opening up that door to hope that there is something that I could do. And as you mentioned, I like to explain that every journey to healing begins with hope. And hope is an acronym. And the H stands for hunger. And a hunger is a desire. But it's not just a little bit of a desire, because if you talk to anyone who's depressed, they'd say, well, yeah, I mean, of course I want to not feel like this. But it has to reach a tipping point, and that is when we want to change more than we want to stay the same. And you can tell when you've reached that point because you're willing to do something about it. So that level of desire has to reach a hunger point. The O stands for being open. We have to have an open mind and an open heart. When I was struggling with depression and anxiety, oh, I was closed, tight, 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 like a little armadillo just rolled up in a ball. And they do that to protect themselves. And that's what I was doing. I was in survival mode. But you can't heal when you're tight, tight, tight. We have to be able to relax and open up a little bit, which can be very challenging. And I have to say, I did not go from tight, tight, tight to, arms open wide. It was, I just needed to open a little bit. And for me, part of opening up was admitting to another person that I was not in a good place. And that was so hard for me to say, even though it doesn't sound like it would be hard to say. Man, when you're in it, that can be really hard. And we also have to be open to maybe some new ideas, to trying something new. We have to
Mhm.
be open to change. You actually can't change without your consent. So if we're not open to the idea of changing and healing, we won't do it. So we
Wow.
have to be open. The P stands for positive expectancy. And positive expectancy means we are expecting a positive outcome, because I'm not going to put any effort into something that you tell me if I don't think it's going to work. And
Right.
so we have to be able to have a little bit of hope, positive expectancy that it's going to be worth it. That this thing, whatever it is someone's asking me to do, is going to make a difference. And that makes, again, it's not from zero hope and positive expectancy to all the hope and positive expectancy. If
Mhm.
we can just open just a sliver of maybe, just maybe, they might have something that could help me. That's enough. That's enough to get started,
Wow.
until it opens wider and wider, until we recognize that we have a lot more power over our lives than we might have thought before. The E stands for empowerment. And when we're struggling with feelings of victimhood or anxiety, that fear, that feeling overwhelmed, depression, all of these things, we feel hopeless, powerless. Like, uh, I just am this paper bag floating around in the wind where I have no control. It just seems like life is running me over. And we have to be able to recognize our own power and to grow that power.
Mhm.
And that's so important, that we recognize that we have power over our lives, which is matters so much. And the way that we obtain that power is so interesting. It is small and simple. It is learning and doing. And
Mm.
so we learn some new ideas, we learn some new concepts, and we apply them in our lives. And that matters so much that it includes learning and doing. Because if you just learn something, it's not self help, it's shelf help, like, a bookshelf. It doesn't do
It
you
just
any
stays
good.
there. Yeah, I get you.
It just stays there. So if we can put all of these things together, if we can have a hunger, if we can be open, if we can have positive expectancy, if we can work on that empowerment, all of a sudden everything changes
Right.
and we can be truly happy. And as we're talking about dating, boy, doesn't it matter? Because in order to have a good relationship, we need to attract someone who's good,
Yeah.
who is just wonderful. And in order to be attractive to someone who's going to be a good partner, that means that we need to be someone that they are attracted to. It
Mm,
begins with working on ourselves. It's pretty normal and natural when we feel lonely, when we feel isolated, when we feel just that, I don't know, lonely. We're lonely, that we're hoping that some magical person is going to show up in our life. And when they're there, they're going to fill in all the holes and all of the gaps and all of the emptiness that we feel inside. And those magical people don't actually exist. What we can have is when we fill ourselves up, then between us and the other person, it creates a synergy where the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. But until we put ourselves in a good place, we're not going to attract someone who will make a good relationship. And we're not going to be a good partner in that relationship. And so, as much as we would love to say it's all the other guy's fault, every good relationship starts with working on ourselves.
wow. I think, yeah, no, it's not that I think you hit it on the head because I remember I would, when I was younger, I would blame the woman like, oh, it was her fault. She didn't give me a chance, whatever. But it does begin with us, and I like the part where you said that in order to get the attraction, we have to be attractive ourselves by working, by taking care of ourselves and and showing people that we're worthy of their company or vice versa, whatever it is. And tell me if I'm off on this, because I feel though, Linda, if some people, or let's say for me, for instance, when I went through that period, I just didn't feel attractive at all. I didn't feel anything. It was just, I would go from work to home, home to work, home, whatever, play my sports, but I just didn't. There was nothing there. And then I remember a few years later, I remember I went to a self development 3-day weekend, and that changed me because I was able to open up more. The teachers there, and maybe you want to call them self help or whatever it was, but it opened me up to a lot of things that I didn't know before. The key was the word love. Love myself, love others, no judgments and all that. So that was my journey from mid 30s to maybe mid 40s, and now it's different now that I'm 60, that I feel, my God, that was a different person. Does what I said make any sense at all?
Oh, absolutely. And isn't it wonderful that when you
Yeah.
narrow it down, it really comes to simple concepts? They're not as easy to apply, but they're easy to state. It starts with loving yourself
Mm,
and loving and accepting others. So, between those two things, and it's interesting because it's not necessarily what I am, it's what I believe I am.
mm,
It's not what I have to bring to the table, it's what I believe I have to bring to the table. And I love when Brene
mm.
Brown did all of her research and found out what is it?
Yes.
Figure out where and why and how. What makes a difference between people who feel like they have love and belonging and people who feel like they're not good enough? And the answer is so simple. It's that whether or not we believe that we are worthy of love and belonging. And it's
Mm,
almost magical that once we believe that we are worthy of love and belonging, then we are loved and we belong. And it's so interesting. You mentioned earlier in dating and feeling just frustrated, like, I'm not attractive. I don't have anything to offer. And somehow that message is sent out into the world where other people say, oh, I guess he's not attractive. I guess I'm not interested. And so it's kind of crazy. Our confidence and our self worth is attractive. So if we want to be attractive, then we need to love and accept ourselves. and we need to build our confidence. And that is wonderful. It sounds another thing where, oh, yeah, that sounds nice, but how do I do it?
Yeah.
And that's what I would love to share some ways of how we can do that
Yes,
because
please. Yes,
it's
thank you.
simple. It's about learning and doing. So I would like to share just a 5-minute morning routine. I know people are busy, we got a lot going on, but if you can invest at least 5 minutes in yourself every day, it can help change the chemistry in your body and
Mm,
help make it happier and more attractive. So this takes 5 minutes and it's MMWW. And it stands for music, movement, words, and water. And I'll
mm,
explain two, and then I'll explain why it would make any difference at all.
okay.
So the first thing is to pick a song, something that you love, something that makes you want to sing, something that makes you want to dance. And that is your timer. Most songs last about, 3, 4 minutes long.
Yeah.
And so you pick one, you play your song, and then while you're playing your song, you're going to move your body. And it can be anything. It can be traditional exercises, your push ups and sit ups and jumping jacks. It can be shadow boxing. It could be yoga. It could be Tai Chi. It could be just dancing. It doesn't matter. Just move your body.
Mm,
And then the song is over. We're done with MM. The next part is to grab a notebook and we're going to start with the W of words. We're going to write down 5 things that we're grateful for.
mm,
Final W is water. You grab a bottle of water and you drink it and you're done. 5 minutes and you're done. So now I'll explain why that would make any difference whatsoever. Well, first of all, music, research shows that music has more effect on the way that we feel. It has more power over our emotions than anything else that we can do. They've done fMRI scanners on brains and figured out that is the thing that can help change the way that we feel. It can take us from being sad to being happy. It can help us to feel sad if we're listening to a sad song. It can help us actually become happy, which is crazy sauce. And then also research shows that our brain waves tend to synchronize somewhat to the beat of the music. And we can use that in a couple different ways. If we're feeling stressed, if you listen to calming music, it can actually literally help calm your brainwaves so that you're more calm and able to make decisions. But if you're struggling with motivation, like, I don't want to get out of bed, I don't want to face today, I'm just not in the mood. If we listen to a positive, upbeat song, it can literally help jumpstart our brainwaves into better activity so that we can get moving and doing, which is just amazing. Now, the next part is movement. And when we move our bodies, it may seem counterproductive, but I mean, intuitive, but movement increases our energy. So if we need more energy, if we need more, get up and go, we got to start by getting up and going. And then it helps us be able to move forward and to do more. It also affects the chemistry in our body and in our brain. We have stress chemicals called cortisol. And when that chemical flows through our body, it says, hey, you're stressed. And now we're going to make these changes to help deal with that. When we exercise, when we move our bodies, it helps lower the levels of cortisol. And then it helps to increase those chemicals in our brain, those feel good chemicals, the dopamine, the serotonin, the oxytocin. So when we move our bodies, it literally changes the chemistry in our bodies to help us feel good. It also helps to relax muscle tension. So physically, we feel better, and mentally and emotionally, and all of these things. Then when we get to the words, gratitude journals, I used to think, that that's nice for those happy little fluffy people who like to do things. But for like real people with real problems, that there's no point, right? I'm not
right.
feeling great. But research shows that there's so much that happens when we are grateful. It actually changes our brain. Research shows that
First of all, it helps to stimulate the prefrontal cortex area of the brain,
Mm,
which is where our conscious thought and decision making takes place. So when we are in a state of gratitude, it helps us to be able to better act rather than to react to the circumstances that take place in our lives. We're better able to make decisions. Furthermore, it helps to increase the neuroplasticity of the brain, which is necessary for any kind of healing, adapting to change, and resilience. And so, being in a state of gratitude increases that neuroplasticity, which is amazing. And then a lot of research has been done on gratitude and depression and anxiety. And one of my favorite studies is they took a group of people who were struggling with severe depression and they said, all right, we just want you to change one thing. And that is write three things that are going well, three things you're grateful for every day. 15 days later, they came back to see if it made any difference. And they found that 94% of participants had a noticeable improvement in the way that they felt. They had gone from severely depressed to either moderately or mildly depressed. So it didn't solve all of their problems,
mm,
but it did put them on a path to improvement and it helped them to be able to better handle whatever else was going on. And so putting yourself into a place of gratitude is magical. It also changes the focus because when we're frustrated, when we're depressed, when things aren't going well, you know what? That's all we can see. And I had a friend who said, whatever message we put out into the universe will respond. This is true.
mm.
Here's some more evidence to support that. And so, whatever it is that we're focusing on, we tend to get more of. So, if we're focusing on negative things in our life, we tend to get more negative. When we focus on the things that we're grateful for, the things that we're happy about,
Mm,
then we tend to get more of those. Now, the final one is water. And water is one of the most overlooked, underutilized tools that we have to improve our physical, mental, and emotional well being. Our brains are, they're electrical, and we
yeah.
have to have sufficient water to be able to make those connections work. And since our brain is about 73% water, research shows that if we are dehydrated as little as 1%, it begins to negatively affect our mood and our cognitive functioning. And so, a simple thing to make sure that we are drinking water, we're moving our bodies, we're doing things that make us happy, and we're, listening to music. We're using those tools. So, to me, I just think it's beautiful and amazing that within 5 minutes we can do and use these powerful tools to help us be happy, and then everything else tends to go better. And if we can start our day that way, where we're happy and feeling good, it just kind of keeps going. They talk about you get up on the wrong side of the bed. Well, now with this tool, whatever side of the bed you started on, you can put yourself in a good place and you can have a good day every day.
No, I love that. I love it's funny because I do when I get up in the morning, I do a little prayer and then I do a little affirmation, which I don't mind, but I like this better because I love music. Here in New York City, we have an area that in New York City, it's called Central Park, and we roller skate, and it's such a great camaraderie. Afterwards, we're dancing and all that, and so a lot of the music I shazammed and I kept, and I think I like that. I'm gonna try that. I'm definitely gonna try that. Definitely the music, movement. Yes, I love dancing. Words. I do have a journal, but I definitely gonna add more. What I'm grateful for, and I always do when I wake up. I'm happy that as soon as I wake up, I always say thank you, Lord. I'm still here, so that's always the battle. I want to wake up. Everything else is, I say, gravy. And water. Yes, I definitely gonna go there because I sometimes I don't drink enough water, especially during the daytime. I end up drinking so much at night that what that causes. I'm in the bathroom
Then you
like
get
20
up and go to
times.
the bathroom.
Exactly. So I think for us, as humans, and you're dating and you have a heartbreak of a breakup with someone that you love, and starting off with at least some music. I know at the beginning you don't want to hear it. You're hoping to get back with that person, or what happened that I ended up breaking up with her, or she broke up with me. So Linda, does when we focus our mind on the breakup, isn't then this, the MMWW kind of secondary because we're always focusing on the breakup and was it my fault or didn't I see it coming? I'm always afraid of that, because I went through that when I was younger, where I would just focus on that negativity, like why did that happen, and my God, I miss her. Oh my God, I'm so miserable. And you talked about it already earlier, but when it comes to dating, it seems that some people either can't let go or they do let go easily, but now we're affected.
Oh, that's so true. And it's so easy to get caught in that loop of thinking, of
Mhm.
going around, and it's hard to be able to let go. One of the things that research shows that if we can change the channel for 2 minutes, it's enough to help break that cycle.
Mhm.
So if we can distract ourselves for 2 minutes, it doesn't mean you can't go back to that cycle if you want to, but you know how you're caught in that loop. If we can distract ourselves for 2 minutes. So, I mean, if you do this MMWW, that's 5 minutes worth, and that would create an excellent distraction.
Yeah, and
Now,
that goes
another
by
thing,
fast. And that goes by fast, those 5 minutes. Yeah. So I get it. Definitely. That makes a lot of sense.
another tool that's helpful when we're caught in that, what did I do? Did I do something wrong? Am
Mhm.
I in it? You go into that is to treat yourself like you would treat a friend. Don't beat yourself up. One of my favorite statements is if there's any of that, oh man, I'm a failure. I missed my chance. I messed up. Is to just imagine a big stop sign. It's like, well, no, stop. And then say, I am the kind of person who is kind to myself. That's it. And if we have to repeat that 100 times a day, then repeat it 100 times a day. But
Right.
we don't want to go in that place of, oh, I miss him, or oh, I whatever, because it doesn't heal us. So let's say we have the two possibilities are you get back together with them or you don't.
Right.
If you work on yourself and work on being a happy person who is complete and confident, you're going to increase your chances that you will get back together. And if you don't get back together, you still have the resilience to be able to pick yourself up and to move forward. So either way it turns out, because we can't guarantee which one it's going to be, if you work on yourself and your happiness, you're going to be in a better place.
I love that. You know what? It's just, it seems, it is simple if we put our minds to it. I love what you just said. You know, don't, oh my God, don't break ourselves. I know I'm paraphrasing, but I think too, Linda, and we're talking with Linda Bjork, personal development expert. I think if we realize that there's always going to be someone out there that might be just better than the person we left or left us. I really believe that, because maybe that they were there for a reason. They were there for, as someone said, they might have been there for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. If they were there for just that reason, then okay, let's move on. I know it'll be difficult, but at the same time, I like the MMWW because again, it's just 5 minutes a day, and before you know it, and when I went through my period when I was in my 20s and early 30s, I did listen to music. I gotta admit, I didn't do the journaling not till a few years ago, but I did the music and it did make me feel better because you know what? And then I started reading. I would read biographies and sports, and I'm a big sports guy. But you hit it right on the head. It's just loving ourselves and then just moving forward and showing gratitude because then we attract who we want to attract. I mean, Linda, you said it all. So, and before I let you go, and again, thank you so much for being on People on Dating. Talk about more about your podcast.
Okay. My podcast is called Linda's Corner, Faith, Family, and Living Joyfully. And I love it. I get to talk to wonderful, amazing people from just around the world that help bring just valuable content to help us become our best selves. We talk about physical health, mental health, emotional health, resilience. We talk about emotional eating. We talk about overcoming grief. We talk about, parenting and relationships and just all kinds of things to just help us to be happy. So I love what I do. I have a website where I have the episodes that are listed under categories. So if someone's saying, well, maybe I'm interested in relationships, okay, here are the episodes on relationships. Or
Nice.
maybe I'm interested on emotional eating and my physical health. Great. Here are some episodes on that and some experts who can help. So I love it. I love what I do.
No, I listen. It's amazing what people can help with. Like you said, you're providing a service for your audience, and hopefully, my audience will start listening to you. And talk about your books.
Yes, I have several books. One of them is called Crushed: A Journey Through Depression, and that one is my story. And I wrote it while I was in it. And I tell you, it is. I go back and read now, and it's like I'm reading about someone else because I am not that person anymore. And I've had so many readers who've said, wow, I felt like I was reading my story. It felt like you were in my head. And they felt seen and they felt understood. And it gave them hope that, wow, if she can do it, I can too.
Mm.
And that is something that I really appreciate. Another one is called You Got This, an action plan to calm fear, anxiety, worry, and stress. And it's contains just wonderful, simple, small things that we can do to be able to overcome fear and to be able to live in peace and to be able to feel more fulfilled and more in control of our lives. So it's not just a, hey, fix yourself. It's a, here's what you can do. And I always try to keep everything in small, simple, bite-sized steps so that you can actually do it and not feel overwhelmed. So those are a couple of them. I also have several books like 30 Days to Alleviate Depression and 30 Days to a Better Marriage and You Are Good Enough and I Can Prove It. And those are available for free to download on the Hope for Healing website. And that's my nonprofit. It's hopeforhealingfoundation.org. And another thing I would love to invite your listeners is we have a free video series called Heal Your Life from the Inside Out. And it features LIFT, which is the love and forgiveness freedom technique. And you talked about trying to get over a heartache, trying to get over a heartbreak. And that's what forgiveness is. Forgiveness doesn't just mean, oh, whatever happened is okay. It means we let go. And so this helps people to be able to let go and to be able to move forward.
I love it. I definitely put on the show notes, and I appreciate that. I'll definitely get my audience over there, and again, I'll put that on the show notes. Any other website you want to promote? Just anything else, or
So I would say Linda's Corner
okay,
podcast.com
okay.
and then hopeforhealingfoundation.org.
Okay, I'll definitely put that on the show notes. Well, Linda, first of all, thank you so much. My God, I was, just kept on writing because you had so many good anecdotes and to me steps. To me, the MMWW. That's to me. I love that. I'm definitely gonna try that tomorrow morning. So when I get up. But anyway, again, Linda, thank you so much for being on People on Dating. I really, really appreciate it.
Oh, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Well, everyone, that was Linda Bjork, and you can find her at hopeforhealingfoundation.org. That's hopeforhealingfoundation.org. Linda, thank you so much for being People on Dating. Much appreciated. You can find me at peopleondating.com. That's peopleondating.com. Check out our past shows and check out our blog. Also, when you get a chance, please go to Apple Podcasts. Please subscribe, leave a review. Tell us how we can make this show better. You can also find me on Google Podcasts and Spotify. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening. I'm Will Morales. Until next time, have a great day, everybody. And remember, it's just a conversation, no judgment.